Understanding your equipment's frequency response will not only help you select gear, but use your gear for the right purposes, yielding better recordings. Basically, the frequency response chart shows you the given item's ability to pass through certain frequencies. In other words, does it respond to a given frequency efficiently or not? The results of this are plotted on a graph, and you now have a frequency response chart. Let's put this into perspective. If we have a microphone that has a flat frequency response from 100 Hz to 16 kHz, we would now know not to use it to capture low subsounds of a bass amp, since those sounds are at 30 to 80 Hz. This is obviously not in the efficient range of the microphone. However, if we had a bass cabinet that was very muddy in the low end and we could not adjust it anywhere else in the chain, we could use our knowledge to minimize the low frequencies by selecting this mic to record the bass cabinet. What I'm saying is, knowledge is power, and when the purpose of the application changes, so does the microphone selection. Now with microphones, sometimes the frequency response is not flat. In other words, the efficiency around 0 dB is not perfect and has small dips and peaks. In fact, some are purposely not flat to the point that they have a huge presence bump or dip in the lower frequencies. This can be a stipulation of the components and physical design of the microphone, or actual circuitry to make the specific curve. This allows you to capture the sound you want by selecting different microphones instead of processing later. Engineers like Al Schmidt will change a microphone out instead of grabbing for the EQ on a console because he knows it will sound better if it is captured at the source correctly instead of manipulated later. And he obviously has to know all the frequency responses of all the microphones in his vault. Certain mics will have more presence and others will be duller in the high end. Knowing the frequency response of your mics just adds one more tool to your recording technique. Now a common question is, why would I select a piece of gear that has a frequency response of 20 Hz to 100 kHz, or even speakers from 20 Hz to 40 kHz, when the human hearing is only from 20 Hz to 20 kHz? The short answer is the further the frequency response goes out, the more accurate and flat the response is in the hearing range. This is due to the 3 dB point, which is explained thoroughly in my Studio Edge tutorials. Now when it comes to speakers having a higher frequency response than our hearing, remember that even if we cannot hear a frequency, it does not mean it is not mixing with others in the room, causing a change in the sound. Of course, all your equipment has to be able to replicate these frequencies for it to be able to recreate them via the speaker. Frequency responses of equipment is very important to know, and obviously higher end components need to be used to achieve this specification. But remember, frequency response is only one part of the story, and make sure all your needs are met when selecting a piece of gear.